You were so close. The project was almost done. The relationship was finally going well. The goal was within reach. And then you stopped. Not because life got in the way, not because you weren't capable, but because some quiet part of you pulled the brake. You felt it before, that invisible resistance, that moment when success gets close and something in you flinches. This video is about what that something is and why your brain does it on purpose. Self-sabotage doesn't look the way you think it does. It doesn't announce itself. It doesn't come wearing a villain's mask. It looks like procrastination. It looks like I'll start Monday. It looks like picking a fight right when things are good. It looks like forgetting to reply, sleeping through the alarm, quitting the gym in week 3, right when it was starting to work. Psychologists call this a pattern of self-defeating behavior, and research by Dr. Stephen Berglis, a clinical psychologist at Harvard, identified one of its most common forms, self-handicapping. This is where you unconsciously create obstacles before an important performance. You stay up too late before the interview. You wait until the last hour to prepare. You tell yourself you didn't really try, so that if you fail, you have an excuse. And if you succeed despite the obstacle, you feel like a genius. Either way, your self-image is protected. But self-sabotage goes even deeper than that. For many people, it is tied to something called an upper limit problem, a concept introduced by psychologist Gay Hendricks. The idea is this: every person has an internal thermostat for how much success, love, and joy they believe they are allowed to have. When life starts to exceed that setting, when things get too good, the thermostat kicks on, and it cools everything down. Here is what I want you to understand. You are not weak. You are not lazy. You are not fundamentally flawed. You are running a very old program. Self-sabotage is not a character defect. It is a survival strategy, one that was built in you long before you were aware of it. Attachment theory, developed by John Bowlby, tells us something important. Children develop beliefs about what they deserve based on the love they receive, or don't receive. If your early environment taught you that good things get taken away, your nervous system learned to take them away first. If being successful meant outshining someone you loved, your psyche learned to dim itself down. The sabotage is protection. It's old armor. The problem is you're still wearing it, even though the war ended long ago. Let's talk about what's actually happening in your brain. There are two systems in constant conversation: the prefrontal cortex, the part that sets goals, makes plans, imagines the future you want, and the limbic system, ancient, fast, emotional, the part that asks one question above all others: is this safe? Your logical brain wants success. Your emotional brain wants safety. And here's the paradox. Success feels dangerous to a nervous system that has been conditioned to expect loss. Neuroscientists call this anticipatory threat response. Your brain doesn't just react to danger, it predicts it. If every time things went well in the past, something bad followed, your brain learned the pattern, and now it intervenes before the pain arrives. Think of it this way. Imagine you're carrying a glass of water, full to the brim. Your brain, sensing that fullness, expects the spill, so it tilts the glass itself. Not out of malice, out of familiarity. The spill is known. The spill is survivable. What isn't survivable, to the frightened part of you, is hoping and then losing. So what do you actually do? Here are 5 principles, each one grounded in psychology. 1. Name the pattern without judgment. Cognitive behavioral therapy teaches us that awareness is the first intervention. When you notice the behavior,
the avoidance, the delay, the argument. Don't shame yourself, just name it. There it is, the pattern. Labeling activates the prefrontal cortex. It creates just enough distance between the impulse and the action. 2. Ask what the sabotage is protecting. Every pattern of self-sabotage is protecting something. Ask yourself, if I actually succeed at this, what am I afraid will happen? Often the answers reveal old beliefs. People will expect more from me. I'll lose the people who love me now. I'll finally have to stop making excuses. The fear underneath the sabotage is the real thing to work with. 3. Raise your tolerance for good things. Psychologist Rick Hanson calls this taking in the good, the practice of deliberately absorbing positive experiences rather than letting them pass unregistered. Your brain has a negativity bias. It remembers pain more readily than joy. When something good happens, stay with it for 20 seconds. Let your nervous system learn that good things don't have to be feared. 4. Shrink the threat of success. If success feels overwhelming to your nervous system, make it smaller. Behavioral psychology calls this graded exposure, the slow, deliberate approach towards what scares you. Don't try to become successful, try to stay consistent for one more day. Let your brain update its threat assessment one small experience at a time. 5. Build identity before achievement. Dr. Tara Brach's work on radical acceptance points to something profound. You cannot sustainably build what you believe you don't deserve. Before the strategy, before the habit, before the plan, there must be a quiet internal shift. I am someone who is allowed to have this. Here is the mental model that ties it all together. You are not fighting yourself. You are a person with two internal voices, one who wants to grow, one who wants to be safe. Self-sabotage is what happens when those two voices never learn to talk to each other. Your work is not to silence the fearful voice. It is to listen to it, to understand what it needs, and to gently, slowly show it that the future is not the past. The thermostat can be reset. Not in one dramatic moment, but in 1,000 small ones. Every time you notice the pattern and pause. Every time you stay when you would have run. Every time you let something good be real. You have spent years wondering why you can't seem to get out of your own way. Now you know. You were never in your own way. You were standing guard, protecting something young inside you that never got to feel safe. The psychology is not a verdict, it's a map. And now that you can see the terrain, you can finally choose a different path. Take your time, you're not behind. You're just beginning to understand yourself.